Compound Interest Stock Guy. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on here,
Yeah,
David.
absolutely. Absolutely. And you are hailing from the Great White North, is that correct?
Yeah, I am actually near BC, Vancouver
Okay.
right now. So yeah.
Very cool. And I want everybody to go in the link in the description below this video to Compound Interest Stock Guy's YouTube channel. It really needs more subscribers, and I want you to be one of them. So go ahead and click on that and subscribe to that. But not until you're done watching this video. I don't want you to click away from my videos, for goodness sake. So we are in quite a, I don't know, quite a state of the markets right now. I know Compound Interest Stock Guy, I know that you cover the cannabis sector very well. I know that Afria had an amazing day, 40%, and it pulled up pretty much the whole sector quite a bit, but that was just one day. Overall, cannabis stocks are depressed in price. Do you think there's further downside ahead, or is this a buying opportunity?
Uh, I did a video about scaling in, scaling out, and I would say right now is probably the time to be scaling into positions. Yes, some stocks can go down a bit further, but I do predict that things will start going up. There's actually August 27th, apparently they're decriminalizing cannabis in New York, as well as October 8th, they're going to have a bigger lottery, and then October 17th is when the legislation passes for edibles and concentrates in Canada. So I think there's some catalysts that are upcoming, and we're just in summer doldrums, but I think things are going to start heating up. Yeah, no, I own calls in Tilray. I don't own stock in Tilray, but I do think there's a lot of upside on Tilray. I mean, as far as a price to sales basis, yeah, Tilray is still expensive as are a lot of other companies, but I think for the short term, I think it has upside. I do like Hexo because Hexo has a Coors relationship, and as well Tilray. Tilray has Ab and Bev, so they're working on beverages, so that's going to be coming out. I have a lot of different picks in my portfolio, but I think if you want to play safe, I think you want to stick with the big dogs. You know, even get the HMMJ ETF. I'm not so because your subscribers, they probably don't like some of them don't really like things going down 20% and then going up 30%. It's a lot of volatility. So if you have an ETF or if you have a bigger company, you're going to be a lot safer.
That's a really smart idea. What a great way to hedge your bets, because, stock picking is not for everybody, and it's a tough game for people to play a lot of the time. And so if you get the HMMJ, that's the Canadian version of the Horizons Marijuana Lifesciences ETF. It's an exchange traded fund. It's kind of like a mutual fund, except you can buy or sell at any time during the trading day. In the United States, it is ticker symbol HMLSF. Highly recommended if you don't feel like picking stocks in the marijuana sector in particular. Now, there are other sectors that you're interested in, of course, besides cannabis. What are we looking at right now? Like which sectors are on your watch list, or better yet, what are you buying?
Well, I looked at gold and silver. I'm pretty focused on them. I check out investing.com. I check out the charts there. I check out the candlesticks pretty regularly. Just figure out. I look at the nickel, things such as that nature. There's not it's hard to find some companies that can correlate with a commodity, but I do my best. Yeah, okay. Here's an example of what I did recently. Because I am bullish on silver and gold. But okay, so I back a couple of months ago, I bought Fortuna silver calls
Okay.
for about 45 cents, and then this was a $4 strike, and it was good till October, and then Fortuna's gone up a lot. It's gone up $2 since then. So my calls went 4x. So I didn't want to lose out on my position, so I sold them, even though I think long-term silver and gold will go up. So I sold the calls, and then I was looking to re-enter maybe if things were dipping, but I started to see that oil was going up, and I looked at Suncor is a very favorable oil company, so they have a nice PE ratio. So I have December calls for 40 Canadian that I paid, I think, $1.15. So I bought two of them. So things of that I don't buy big board stocks, but now that I learned options, now I try to do things of that nature, and that I hope to be master and make tons of money doing that. But that's kind of what I focus. But I also do own stocks in small miners. Even with uranium, I'm hoping uranium kind of goes up too. I know Kamenko has a uranium price chart, and it's at 25.50. So it's looking like it can go skyrocket, but it just hasn't taken off. So I think it needs to go to $30, but Kamenko's a really safe player in the uranium space. So things of that nature.
Gotcha. So just to recap some of the ones that you've been playing, you just mentioned Kamiko in the uranium sector. You mentioned Fortuna in the silver sector. And was it Suncor for the petroleum oil play?
Correct.
Okay, all right, gotcha. So are those three that you would buy right now, or are they just on your watch list?
Well, I got the Suncor calls already, so I mean, I'm hoping that oil can go back to 60 USD or higher, and then that'll go with a swing. And with the premium, yeah, I'll make money on that, I believe. Now, as far as Fortuna Silver, I'm not sure if silver is going to go running early this week. I think it might have a pullback, so I'm just waiting. I also look at Wheaton Precious Metal because they're not just silver. They do gold and palladium, and I think they have platinum that they get their streaming company. So
yep.
I think that's a good way to play the precious metals.
I tend to agree with that. Wheaton is royalty/streaming, which means that they fund startups or the juniors in the precious metals and other sectors. And so they get income in the form of gold or cash, depending on if they're royalty or streaming. They're not the only ones that do this. Franco-Nevada, Royal Gold, which is, these are examples of royalty streaming companies. It's a different way to make money, a different business model for gold and silver and other commodities. A really interesting way to go. And Franco-Nevada has been a winner for many people. So so has Wheaton Precious Metals. I like that. Very good. Okay. Other sectors. So we covered commodities. We covered the cannabis sector. I'm excited about both of those, especially gold and silver. Shout out to Andrew Trapman, another up-and-coming YouTuber who is heavily into the gold and the silver lately. Now, when people say that silver is going to go to $50 an ounce, when people say that gold is going to go to $5,000 an ounce, is that crazy talk, or is that something you would believe in?
I'm not saying I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. But there is upside on gold and silver based on, there's a lot of talk now with there's easy money coming in, and then there's more rate cuts coming, and it's a global phenomenon. So it looks as though and then the bond rates are going down, so I think it can push a lot of money into precious metals. But then there's also crypto money, so it kind of fights with crypto money. But I think it could happen. I think silver has hit $50 before.
Yep.
So I mean, and they kill silver, on the forex. So I mean, if they start buying, and I know JPM, like JP Morgan, they own lots of silver, and so I mean it could go up a lot. And gold as well, but it's just when they want to take it up, you know. So just because I think it wants to go up doesn't mean it's going to go up. It's when the big banks want it to go up, I think.
Fair enough. Are you a stacker of physical precious metals yourself, or do you mostly play the ETFs and options?
Well, I'm not going to admit that I stack.
Yeah.
Let's just that.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Totally cool. So yeah, hope I didn't get too personal there. So yeah, and I want to talk about just the markets as a whole. You mentioned the environment that we're in right now with the rate cuts. It's like a race to the bottom in terms of bond yields all over the world. I mean, you've got Germany, Japan, Scandinavia already experimenting with negative real rates, or even just negative rates, even before inflation is factored out. And right now, United States is under 2%, well under 2% with our 10-year Treasury yields. Is this all stock market bullish? Or, I mean, a lot of people are asking how much longer can this economic expansion continue? At least in the United States, a lot of people are debating that. I don't know. Do you think a market crash is overdue?
I do believe a market crash is overdue, but I also don't think it's going to happen as fast as people think it will. I think that with all this easy money, I think it is stock market bullish, but there is a lot of downsides, so they can pull the plug whenever they want to. So it's hard. I do think it's going to be bullish, and it's really confusing too. You really need to look at the markets every day because there's something new that happens every day. But Trump wants to get reelected, so he's in connection with the big banks. So they're gonna try to pump the market really high, and with the easy money, they're gonna buy stocks. But yeah, it's confusing. I think it is bullish for the markets, but I mean, it's confusing.
Yeah, no, it's been a confusing week for the markets. I mean, Monday, S&P down 3%, and then next thing you know, it's up 2%, then another 1.5%, and then down on Friday. Just unbelievable. It's been whipping people around, and that's why I recommend to everybody, you don't have to be reactive or overreactive. It's okay to react. Don't, just block out all the noise. How do you block out all the noise in your investing? I mean, how do you stay focused and just, how do you filter out all the fake news and focus on what's real?
That's a good question. I'm kind of into yoga. I mean, I used to do yoga a lot.
Okay.
So I don't do yoga anymore, but I do kind of meditate before I sleep. Not like traditional form, but just like on my bed. I kind of just do things like that to just try to be as focused. I guess it's just looking at the charts. If you can read the charts, then you can block out a lot of the noise and just focus on just different technicals. I like the RSI and the Bollinger and the candlesticks, things of that nature. And looking at different time charts.
Yeah.
So I think, and you just have to be open-minded. You can't just listen to what everybody says. You gotta just have a good gut instinct about things.
That's hugely important. I mean, it's true that the RSI and other indicators can help you, but at the end of the day, you got to make your own decisions, make your own judgments, and use your common sense. The RSI will not tell you what's going to happen in the future. It can only interpret what happened in the past, and so that's some good advice there. So when people go to the description below this video and click on Compound Interest Stock Guys YouTube channel there, what kind of videos are they what kind of content and what kind of videos are they going to find?
Well, recently, I just been on the road a little bit, so I have driving my car, do these videos, just talk about what's going on in the market. I try to be just as down to earth about things, how I feel about the markets, how I think about the news. I read a lot of the news with all the cannabis stocks. I don't read too much about geopolitical, but I do watch like Gregory Mannarino, so I mean I get some input on that stuff, and Then just I look at the charts for commodities, just try to get a feel about things because usually, because what I heard from Gregor Manarino is whenever oil's below $60, they try to do false flags with oil, and then because then it pumps money into the SPY. So there's just different divergences, and it's really complex. But every day I'm learning.
As we all are. And Greg Manarino is a really smart guy. I've had him on this channel, and really nice guy too. So he's a good guy to follow. But I want you guys who are watching this right now to check out Compound Interest Stock Guy, subscribe to his channel, check out his videos. I know that you're on the road and all over the place. You're always driving this way and that way. And then finally, just to wrap it up, is there anything, I'm an American investor. Are there any Canadian opportunities that, because I consider myself ignorant and I really want to learn more about what's going on in the rest of the world. Are there any Canadian opportunities that and that everybody watching this really needs to know about?
Well, I'll give you a few companies to look into. I think I own shares in MRS, their Mission Ready Solutions. So that's a military thing. So it's kind of defensive as far as recession goes. And they're kind of ramping up their sales contracts. But it's when the market makers want to bring that up is when it's going to go up. So it's not just going to go up because I want to go up. I also think that a good company, I am bullish more on USA companies for cannabis because a lot of people, there is going to be oversupply in cannabis, which not too many people have really touched on. There is going to be oversupply. They need more stores. So I am more bullish on cannabis companies in the States. So if you find different, I like the extraction companies, and just cannabis companies in California. But I mean, because the market is so focused on the Canadian ones, sometimes it lags unless it's like a big player such as Curaleaf for harvest, health, and wellness. So, and then the HMUS is an ETF people should look into. So that's a good one to look into for US stocks. And then Tim Seymour is very well known, so he's got his Amplify Cannabis ETF, which I think is CNBS. So I think that's pretty well weighted. I looked at the thing. I think just look into if they're trying to do cannabis, look into the US, but as well as it's going to be hot for Canada in the next couple of months, but eventually the bubble will burst. So some companies, they'll go really high, but then they're going to come back. So I'm going to be looking at doing some put options for next summer, long term out, try to make some money that way. Just different things. I mean, I think you want to look at, I've noticed the market really wants to focus on the big players and not so much on the small players. So I do own a lot of small players, but I'm not buying more, and I'm hoping to sell out of those positions. So, but it's like a monopoly in the investment world that all the money wants to just go to the biggest players. So I mean, if you're looking at gold, look at GOLD for Barrick Gold, which is the biggest player, or in Canada it's ABX. Or if you're looking into oil, go look at Suncor, look on ExxonMobil, things of that nature. I think it's a monopoly. That's pretty much all. I mean, I could go on for days, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, but just don't go too heavy on your first purchase. Just kind of scale into positions because the market's so volatile. You just don't know if it's going to go up or down. So scale in, scale out approach, I think probably be, if you find good opportunities, will be probably pretty profitable for people.
And people should know that we are not licensed or registered investment advisors. Nothing in this video is investment advice. You have to make your own decisions. Having said that, I really appreciate those specific picks you just gave us, both in the ETFs and in these specific stock picks. Pretty cool, actionable stuff. Make your own decisions, but Compound Interest Stock Guy has a lot more of this. If you like these kinds of specific picks and ideas, you got to go to his channel. This is not a sponsored or paid video. We're just working together as YouTubers to promote each other, which I think is pretty cool. So Compound Interest Stock Guy, thank you for coming on my channel. We're going to have you back here for a recap as developments occur. Thank you, sir, for coming on Looking at the Markets.
Yeah, thank you, David. It was fun.